So my father was not a diplomat, although I think that on a quite deep level he really wanted to be one. Him and my mother would host approximately 5 to 6 dinners every month, and they always managed to have a diplomat come over to our house. Now, whenever the diplomat would enter the house, you could see how my father would become a bit more formal, but at the same time quite excited and, pride. And, as a kid, you absolutely notice these things. So I would run to my mom and, ask her, why is dad acting this way? Why is he making a fuss about these people? So my mom kindly explained, what a diplomat is. She said, diplomats are people that come from a certain country and move to another one, and their job is to represent those citizens and to represent that country abroad. And I just thought to myself, what a noble, prestigious thing to be able to do such a thing. And then I asked about the wife, and she said, the wife does exactly the same thing. So dinner would be served. I would be sitting on the stairs, stalkingly looking at the wife of diplomat, and just, look at how elegant she was, how she knew how to speak so many different languages, how many experiences she had, all over the globe, and talkative, but at the same time knew exactly what to say at what moment. And I just thought to myself, this is the kind of woman I want to be one day. So a couple of years later, I'm sitting in class, and I'm pretty sure all of you experienced that day where our teachers ask us what we want to be when we grow up. So she started with my friend Simon. So Simon, what do you want to be when you grow up? He said he wanted to be an astrophysicist. Guys, we were 9, and Big Bang Theory was still not out, but Simon knew exactly what he wanted to be. And then came me, and she said, Nicole, what do you want to be when you grow up? And I said, Mrs. Susan, I'm actually still hesitating between becoming the CEO of a company, as if that was easy, or becoming the wife of a diplomat. And Mrs. Susan started giggling, and I took quite offense to it. And I said, why are you laughing at me, Mrs. Susan? And she said, honey, I'm not laughing at you. I'm just laughing because they're quite extreme, don't you think? And I thought, well, no, they're not extreme, because for me, both the CEO of a company and the wife of a diplomat, they both are quite successful. Both of them have an impact on their community. Both of them wake up in the morning and have actually something to do. Both of them need, skills in order to be able to do their job, which is, be able to manage a team, a staff, be able to multitask as well. And both of them travel the world. And, I wanted to be either or, because both of them did the same thing. However, little did I know that the two biggest differences between the CEO of a company and the wife of a diplomat is what made Mrs. Susan think that they were quite different. So the first difference is money. So the CEO of a company will receive, a financial compensation for the effort that she has put into her company. The wife of a diplomat, however, is not allowed to work for money. See what I just said here? Not allowed to work for money. That means if she's a medical doctor, a lawyer, a pharmacist, a chef, a psychologist, anything, she is not allowed to practice her profession for money if she decides to embark on this journey with her husband. That's quite a powerful statement, don't you think? Second biggest difference, recognition. See, the CEO of a company will receive recognitions from her employees, social media, people that use the product or the service. The wife of a diplomat, however, has to work a lot harder to get that kind of recognition. Now, as you may have guessed, I am not the wife of a diplomat. What I am, though, is a psychologist who decided to focus her 3-year doctorate into really understanding what it is like to be a wife of a diplomat. I interviewed 8 amazing women and had so many different, I met many different wives of diplomat, and through my conversations with them, I soon realized that their life is absolutely not as glamorous as one may think. So without further ado, I will do my best to shed light on what it is that they actually do during those diplomatic assignments. So a study conducted in Harvard found that the best way to establish strong and meaningful relationships is not actually through knowledge or status. It's through asking and remembering the most significant details of that person's life. Details like how many children do they have, what countries they've been to, what's their favorite restaurant, and why does the diplomat have more exposure and more access to developing these kind of relationships a lot more than diplomats themselves. And through these relationships, they then help the diplomat develop strong, meaningful diplomatic network. Now, I met a wife of a diplomat who explained this process very, very well, and I thought to myself, should I summarize it, paraphrase it to you? I just thought that actually the best way would be to read what she said. So she said, I became friends with very important people, wives of important people. And you know, this is how you help your husband. You help by befriending others and building important and strong relationships. Because when you do that, you then invite the wife and the husband and then help your husband in networking and meeting important people. And I mean, this is how the diplomatic world works. It works by having contacts and doing change. And how can you do change when you don't know anybody? So by being friends with the wives, you help both husbands build a relationship. And this is what I did. Now, one may wonder, you know, where do these kind of relationships get created? Well, very easy. They get created through activities that in the eye of the public are usually seen as, you know, hobbies or things that wives of diplomats will do because they're bored. But it's actually a lot more than that. A wife of a diplomat once said a sentence that I think will stay with me for the rest of my life. Sorry, and I do hope it stays with you as well. She said, "Bridge saved my marriage." Bridge, the card game Bridge, saved her marriage. And if one does not understand the purpose that Bridge had in her life, you will never be able to understand how it could have saved her marriage. Because through Bridge, she had a rationale for, you know, what the hell am I doing in this country? Through Bridge, she had a purpose. Through Bridge, she was being useful to these diplomatic assignments. Now, another quality that all wives of diplomats said that you absolutely need if you want to if you want to embark on this journey with your husband, is you need to have the ability to adapt to change. Change because your life is about constant change. Moving from one country to the other has been found to be one of the most stressful life events that one can experience. Why, you may ask, or not? Language barriers. How do you communicate with people? And wives of diplomats are actually the ones that communicate with locals a lot more than diplomats. Customs. What is okay in this country? What is not okay? Do I say yes like that? Do I say yes like that? I don't know. Your body takes a toll on that. How does your body adapt to this new country, to temperature, to pollution, to the environment? And then safety and security. I mean, all of us here are very, very lucky to be able to take these two things for granted. But what if safety and security is not guaranteed? What if sending your children to school or your husband to a meeting becomes something that can be dangerous and life-threatening? How do you deal with that kind of stress? Then decision making. Wives of diplomats have to become experts at making decisions. Now, you may argue that all of us here have to make decisions on a daily basis, but the kind of decisions that wife of diplomat need to make every couple of years again is a very, they're quite intense. Here I'm talking about decisions that you and I might do once or twice in our lifetime, if even. Decisions like, do I move countries with my husband or do I stay home? I'm like in the home country. Do we take the kids with us or do we leave them in our home country? And if we take them with us, we put them in a French school, English school, British school, boarding school, and then are all of these schools all around the world, or should we think about that before putting them in any of these schools? And then if I do actually decide to embark on this journey with him, how much involvement do I want in this? Do I really want to be there with him all the time and consider this as my job, although no one will pay me for it? Or, you know what, this is your job, just do it and I'll find something else to do. How much involvement do I want to have? And then moving from one country to the other, there's the admin, there's the management, there's the logistics, And even if the diplomats will help the spouse in some of those tasks, most of the burden will fall on the wife of diplomat's shoulder. Now I'm talking about, packing the house, shipping it somewhere in the world, finding a school that may accept our children in the middle of the year. Shit, by the way, we still have to tell the children that we still have to move again. And then, what do we do with the car that we have now? Do we sell it? Do we buy a new one? Do we ship it? I mean, so many decisions that just now, by stating them, I don't know if you feel it, but like, my heart is already beating. And it is quite intense. And then there's the diplomatic dinners, the dinners itself. You may think that diplomatic dinners are just, a dinner that people go, for fun and gossiping and just drinking. But everything about a diplomatic dinner is orchestrated. Who do we invite? Is it okay to invite every ambassador of the city, or should we, keep it within regions? And if we keep it within regions, do we want everybody to be sitting on the same table, or do we want them to be separate places around the room? Because, we don't want any conflict to arise. And then what kind of topics do we want them to discuss? Because negotiations are now happening in actuality. Or what kind of topics do we absolutely need to avoid at all costs? And then there's the wife of diplomat herself. Where does she stand in all of that? When you're doing official roles like this, where is your position? Something very, very sad and that actually struck a chord in me was all of the wives of diplomat that I interviewed said something. They said, you are not allowed to be yourself when you are on official duty, which, by the way, is all the time. You are not allowed to be yourself because your opinion is not yours anymore. It's your country's opinion. So let's say, for example, your country supports the United States of America. but you, for whatever reason, you hate Donald Trump. You're not allowed to say that. You're not allowed to share any of those views if your country has a different view on it. How do you do these kind of things? Now, I do appreciate that most of you here may never meet the wife of a diplomat. I get that. But I also know that most of you here are university students that will hopefully become professionals, and maybe some of you will have an impact on the world, for all I know. And you guys will soon realize that what truly differentiates each and every one of us, it's not our academic background, the clothes that we wear, the amount of money that we do. It's not that. What really and truly differentiates each and every one of you here is the kind of person that you want to be in this world. It's hard. It's a very difficult world out there because recognition and gratitude are not always things that we can do. But in order to do these things, you need one very extremely important skill, and that is empathy. You need to be able to actually put yourself in those people's shoes and think, how does it really feel to be doing a job that I didn't want to initially? How does it really feel to do all of these efforts for something that I didn't ask for, and while somebody else is getting that round of applause and I am not? How does that feel? And then it's only when you start feeling these things that we will soon, I really hope so, be able to replace and change prejudice and stereotypes into love, kindness, and respect. Now, I want to end my talk with a very small anecdote. It was one of my first interviews, and as I was leaving after a 3-hour interview, very, very long, I bumped into the ambassador himself. And so he started asking me questions, you know, who I am, what am I doing here, why did I take such interest in this topic? And he started telling me about his wife and about all of her accomplishments and how she made each diplomatic assignment feel like home for him and for the children. And I mean, regardless of them being diplomats, I think just being able to witness such gratitude from one human being to the other is completely a wonderful thing. So he said at the end, please, Nicole, I need you to write a sentence. Put it anywhere you want in your thesis, but I absolutely need the sentence to be out there because I want people to know this. So I said, you know, I'll do my best. Took my pen and paper, started writing. He said, it is true that diplomats are the body of diplomatic assignments, but the wives, and then he looked at his wife and said, the wives, man, the wives, they are the heart and soul of what we do. Thank you.